Should we say it is a river state of commotion or a river state of power tussle? This brings us to what we'll be discussing today on Talk Point. We know we have some crisis in River State, and we're looking at the unending crisis in that state. My name is Omololu Rosonwo. Just last year, issues started coming up between the governor of the state, Similayi Fubara, and also the former governor of the state, Nyesom Wike, now the Minister of Federal Capital Territory. And that has to do with power tussle. It has to do with who has the power, who is the leader of the state there. And that has been an issue over time. And of course, that has also snowballed into other issues, which is affecting administration, is affecting so many things. A couple of people have actually said they should sheath their swords and also ensure that there's peace and tranquility in that state. But it is still ongoing. The most recent one is the local government administration. Of course, the tenure of those chairmen elapsed, and the governor is saying they have to go. The people are also saying they have to go. That is what we'll be discussing today on Talk Point. I have two gentlemen that will be doing that. But before the other guest comes in, let me introduce to you Yinka Aderibigo, a media practitioner. Yinka, nice having you on Talk Point.
Yeah, thank you very much, Omololu. It's nice being here, Nigerians. Thank you for locking on to Lagos Television.
Yes, Yinka, let me start with you. Before I bring the other guest in, you know, the issue of power tussle, the issue of unending crisis in River State is getting too much. What may be the cause of this, apart from maybe the leadership tussle or the power tussle in that state?
Yeah, thank you very much. I like the way you described it. I think you get it well to say rivers of commotion or rivers of tussle, removing state from it. And I think it best describes what we are experiencing there now. Where you have a godfather going against his own primordial instincts of, you know, recommending a successor, selling the successor, ensuring that the successor gets the baton from him, and then everything went awry. This is the kind of thing that you see. But I think it is just the turn of River State to experience that. We've seen it in so many places. It's also playing out in Kano, even though the Kano experience is that of a complete shift. It has also played out in Oyo State. Remember the Amala politics? So it's everywhere. And when you see all of this happening, you just laugh at the way our politicians are the never say die kind of politicians who, despite the fact that they are not on the seat, they still want to wield influence like as if it was yesterday. Meanwhile, power has gone. Power has left them, you know. So I don't know. The Rivers will get its own rhythm, just like every of the other states that had visited or that has tasted this had gotten out of it. They will also come out of it stronger because they've never really tasted or tested the water this much. Hitherto, you find a situation where, you know, the successor has always been having his way. You know, it happened, you have Peter Odili, you have Amechi,
Rotimi
Amechi before this. So, and they've always been allowing whoever has the reign of office to just have its way, even though they were run out of state. But, you know, now is the time for River State to really test its own resilience in terms of political will and the people's voice in terms of, yes, we don't know him before, you sold him to us, we are now with him, your time has gone. And that, I think, is a statement that, and I want to agree with the minister at Abuja. He said, we will know who is who by 2027. So let the 2027 come, and then the people of Rivers will speak once again for who their choice is between the two of them.
It baffles me when politicians and those that are supposed to know well or know better are thinking of 2027 when they are still about 3 or 4 years away, 3 years away from 2027. Is it because of politicking that this is coming up? Are they not supposed to concentrate more on providing infrastructural facilities, ensuring that the citizens live better in line with the promise they have made to the citizens, rather than thinking of how to come to power or retain power come 2027?
The permanent thing on the plate of a politician is his interest. Every other thing in between that dash, between where he is now and that tomorrow, will be filled by the officialdom, by civil servants. So be it whatever the content you want to put in there, infrastructure, this, that, will be filled by the civil servants. His interest is to ensure that he retains prominence, he retains that goodwill, he gets back that baton. And you are better begin to work yesterday for that tomorrow. You can't wait till midstream, especially in a place as volatile as Rivers, in a place as volatile as, talk of even any of the landlocked states that we have. If you wait, you discover that interest will have entrenched before you wake up. So they need to, and that's why they are always like that, they need to begin to work the moment an election cycle is over for another relevance coming in the future. We are the ones that are determining, the cycle, 4 years, this or that. For him, there's no difference. He must begin to have, to organize. He must begin to push. He must begin to entrench. He must begin to galvanize. All of this takes time. It's not something you can get done in a jiffy. Our politics is such that it consumes money. So you must, if you wait till almost the end of it, you will spend so much more to destabilize all that are taking over your trenches at that time. So you need to begin to spend early so that you won't feel the impact of what is going out of your pocket.
Yes, you mentioned that issue earlier, and I want us to touch on it before I introduce the second guest. And that has to do with godfatherism. Why do we keep having godfatherism in our electoral process? Why can't we look at only meritocracy and leave the people to actually determine who will lead them? Why do we have to give consent to somebody or give support to one particular person when you know that that person may not be too qualified for that post?
Well, it is all because nature abhors vacuum. It is because the person that will be a godfather has had an influence on the system. And so you must give it to him that he will want to influence who takes over from him. In the process of doing that, he becomes an influencer. In the process of doing that, he becomes, and so politicians will find it convenient to call him a godfather because he's the one that is anointing whoever is taking over, whether directly from him or influencing all other positions that is within the periphery of that his office, i.e. local governments and all of that. They are always interested because, one, our politics is expensive. The person coming in does not have the deep pockets to do that, and so he will need to have an assembly of voices or interests that synchronizes with his own, And then this is influenced by one of the forces, and that they call him the Godfather. It's happening everywhere. Look at the democracy we are copying from. It's like that too. And if you look at how they play the politics, it's just that it's more refined and more sane. But we will also get there. We will also get there.
Yes, it's still Talk Point on Lagos Television. We'll quickly take a break now. When we come back, I will now introduce my second guest. Please stay tuned. Yes, it's still Talk Point on Lagos Television, and we're discussing the unending crisis in Rivers State. I have my second guest on the seat too, who will also give one or two things or insights into what he feels should happen in Rivers State. His name is Ziggy Ibe. Ziggy, nice having you on Talk Point.
Thank you.
Yes, it's nice. I guess it's your first time coming here.
No.
On Talk Point.
On Talk Point, yeah.
Okay.
But in the time past, I think I've been.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're not new
I'm
here.
familiar with, yeah.
Oh, thank you. Yes. Now, the issue of unending crisis in Rivers State, that's what we've been looking at, and you've also been hearing what we're saying. Now, what is your own take on this?
Well, it's unfortunate we found ourselves here, which is very, very disappointing. If you watch the way we play our politics in Nigeria, it is such that I don't think a sane country does this. You know, and you look at, I've heard you talk about godfatherism, and that is very unending issue with us. I wouldn't want to forget what the former governor of Rivers State said when he was leaving. He said, who would come after me would never be he will never interfere with the governance and the goings on in that very state. Today, what are we seeing? A very, very drift from what he said. And this is not interesting. When he was there, I'm sure nobody interfered. Nobody told him what to do, how to do things and all that. I think the young man there should be allowed to carry out the affairs of it. Because if anything goes wrong, he should be blamed for it. So you take all the credits, you take all the backlashes. So he should be allowed to really run the state the way he feels should be better, because this is time for governance. When the people are given the opportunity to vote for their persons, they should be allowed to enjoy the deliverables. Now, they've been denied. When two elephants fight, what happens? The grass suffer. The people are the ones suffering now. When these two gladiators are suffering, are playing their dirty politics. Whether you like it or you can't divorce these two people from the present chaos in Rivers State. They are at the top of the whole thing.
Don't you think some people are also fanning it underneath, and they are not actually coming out?
Who are the people fanning it? It is Fubara's quarter against Wike's quarter, okay? And it is the same political fight between these two gladiators. But it shouldn't be. Mine is the people who voted for you people should be allowed to enjoy why they voted you in. Do they put this into consideration at all? The answer is no. Look at 1 year on, the fight has been. The real essence of governance has been denied. The people have been denied it. The real deliverables have been denied it. The real governance has been denied. Fubara himself, I'm sure, is on the hot seat 24 hours, sleeping, waking up, and thinking. if anything, if a particular situation is disquieted, what do you get? It is uneasy calm everywhere. And who suffer it? Mine is, I'm concerned about people who voted them in. Do they put them into consideration at all? The answer is no. I think they should allow peace to reign here, so that Fubara will enjoy his last 3 years.
Well, Yinka, okay, I'm going to come back to you. Let me go to Yinka. He has said Fubara should be left to govern. Yes, you have also alluded to some of those facts. But are we not looking at a situation where it should be a give and take process? Yes, the former governor is out, is in Abuja. The present governor is there in Rivers State. And there are certain issues oiling the oil machinery of governance and giving away one or two things to say, look, let peace reign. Shouldn't the governor also be looking at that?
Yes, the governor is looking at that, and I think that was one of the reasons why he accepted and started implementing the Abuja Accord, orchestrated by Mr. President, before everything again went awry between himself and his principal, his former principal. The fact remains that, yes, we might want to stay out of there and start talking about deliverables, but I think that towards his first year in office, he too, similarly Fubara himself, the executive governor, was actually also going out, commissioning events, commissioning infrastructure, meaning that in the real crux of it, an eye is still also on infrastructure development and deepening of the democratic content. So it's not as if everybody has gone to their trenches and leaving the state to bleed. I don't think that is exactly the state of things. But the fact remains that, you see, the enemy of your enemy is your enemy. The friend of your friend is your friend. And I think that is what is shaping up now there. The political calculation in Rivers State tilts more in favor of Fubara as we speak, because of who came from, especially the former governor, and where he is. I'm talking of the current government. And so every of the political interests that have been sidelined before now teamed up with this current because they knew that's the only way they could come back to relevance. And that is what is actually playing out. So it is not that they are sleeping on their goals. It is not as if they are also not aware that they need to put things back in society. They are doing all of that. But the fact is that interest in Rivers State feels that this is the only very good time to clip a wing, and they are not going to rest until that wing is properly clipped.
Yes. Let's quickly look at because the current crisis we're facing has to do with local government autonomy, elongation of tenure of the local government chairman. Their tenure, according to what they swore to, ended the 3-year tenure. Should this local government chairman be there? And should the governor, or can he, let me put it that way, can he actually elect a caretaker committee to come in place or bring in a local government election?
Okay, if you watch the whole proceedings, I think one of the reasons the government at the center is clamoring for autonomous for local government is because over the years, the state and the governors have had this chairman in their pocket. By right, they don't have to set up any committee or any administrators for this local government. But you see, when you have, in Nigeria, we run 3 tiers of government. The 3rd tier, most times, have been governor's puppets, and they wouldn't want to let it go. Former President Buhari mooted the idea of trying to issue an executive order to divorce the marriage between the local, the last tier and the second tier. But he couldn't do it because he had filed some laws, and they told him he cannot do it. Coming from the ground, he is coming. Now, the state governors wouldn't want to let it go because they felt ab initio that this last year is their own. And if you look, watch the way things have been going on, the way activities have been carried on with this last year, with the governors, it has always been what we have left should be given to you. And they've tenaciously held to that over the years, and they are used to it. But when President Tinubu came, he now said, okay, let's issue and go straight on to divorce this marriage. Because that is only what will give them the independence needed for these people to function well.
Will the governors allow the marriage to be divorced?
It's all about the governors. Now, when the court of competent decision said, this is the law, this is the law, the moment the law is stated fully that the last year should have their autonomy, why not? The governor has no right to say no. And as we speak, I think within this week, that case will be finally...
The pronouncement will come.
Yes, the pronouncement will come, and the case will be finally be rested. Okay? We wouldn't talk about that because of prejudice. But then, with which it comes, because the governors had actually swallowed the last year. And that's why the government at the grassroots cannot be established. Knowing full well that this is the only government that is very close to the grassroots. It's only close to the people at the last rung of the ladder. But the governors wouldn't want it so.
Okay.
And that's exactly what we are getting at the rivers today. Because if the local government chairmen have their own autonomy, then being run as it's supposed to be run, the governors have nothing to interfere. They wouldn't want to meddle with anything. So the meddlesomeness is what we are suffering today. By Fumilayo thinking, or whoever that is in Abuja thinking that, look, because these people are our children, we can always pocket them.
Just like borrowing what the law will say, some meddlesome interlopers.
Yes, meddlesome interlopers. And that's exactly what we are suffering.
Okay, let me go to Yinka. Yinka seems to be agreeing with me when I say, as we round up now, meddlesome interloper. What is the way out?
Well, I think on this matter, the issue is about constitutionalism. Now, Fubara is insisting you signed on to a 3 years. There cannot be a variation of that provision if the original law establishing it has not been amended. The law is that you are for 3 years. If it has elapsed, it has elapsed. There's no political solution to it. Now, the people from Abuja are using the local, the House of Assembly to extend that tenure. And he was saying, no, you cannot extend it. And that's the reason for him appointing caretaker committees. On the face of the law, it's just right. So, looking at what we call meddlesome interlopers, in democracy, you will continue to have it. That is what you call political correctness. That is what it is in the face of the law. There is what it is in political reality. Okay. And so marrying the two is what gives us or keeps us going as a political entity called Nigeria.
Ziggy, I'll give you just 30 seconds. Your take.
But that is not right. Look, Fubara should be allowed free hand to run the state. And look, whether you like it or not, names must come in here. Minister of FCT, Nwike, who is doing his third tenure, because he's the third governor. So,
but it was appointed by the president.
Yeah, but then
you can't say his third tenure. It was appointed
unofficially.
Well, if you say unofficial, well, that's
you know. And his hands are full already because the administration of governing FCT is not
enormous.
It's not a child show. So he should be concerned about that place and really allow Fubara to go ahead. And like he said, on Monday, their tenure elapsed. Okay, and because it has elapsed, it has elapsed.
Okay.
You have no right to elongate it to any time. So Fubara should be given the free hand to set up a caretaker committee that will run their councils.
Yes, I'm afraid time is not on our side. I want to thank you, gentlemen, for being part of Talk Point. Thank you so much, Yinka Aderibigbe, for for being part of Talk Point.
Yes, it's
I
nice
also-
being here.
yes,
Thank
I
you
also
also
want to
for
thank
having
you, yes, Ziggy Ibe, for coming on Talk Point and giving us your own analysis.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, on that note, we have come to the end of Talk Point. 767 and 112 are still the lines to call in times of emergency. Stay out of trouble. Ensure you do what is right so that Nigeria and indeed Lagos can also get better. I am Omololu Sonwo. See you some other time.